I'm Dumptruck DS. This is the first installment of 5 must-play maps for Quake. I just want to say thank you to JCR for recording the demos used in this video. I want to be clear about this one. I am not saying these are the greatest maps of all time, definitely not. So the criteria for these maps is just basically based on feedback from the community. I went out there and asked on Discord, hey, what are some really great maps that are must play, especially if you're a mapper? So without further ado, here we go. In no particular order, 5 must play maps. So first up is my favorite out of these 5 maps. When I first played this map, it absolutely floored me. It's a very simplistic looking map. Because of the textures, there's a lot of the same textures, very limited texture set. But the gameplay is just phenomenal in this thing. From the very beginning of the map, you are inundated with enemies from all different levels and all different layers in the map. But you're never completely overwhelmed. It's not like an amateur map where people just put, a bunch of monsters in and they attack you. This is paced out. There's a rhythm to it. There are a lot of nooks and crannies and all kinds of funky passageways. There's something funny in the README, and I'm not going to kind of relay everything, but CZG talks about how he was in the army when he made this map, and he was on guard duty with nothing to do. And I'm just going to leave it at that. It's kind of a fun little thing. So check out the README for sure for ceremonial circles. Next up is the Hoard of Zenda by Sock, and otherwise known as Simon O'Callaghan, and he is the guy who spearheaded Arcane Dimensions. Some of the hallmarks of a Sock map are obviously the attention to detail, the trims, the beautiful texturing. The layouts are always astounding. If you read the README for Hoard of Zenda, there's this entire story behind it and a justification. And the thing I love about when you play a Sock map, and it's true with this one, I want to know more about this place. Replayability is very important to Sock. He wants you to play his maps over and over again. He wants you to 100% them. He wants you to find all the secrets. They're not always easy to find. He always has some kind of super secret in the level. In fact, it's been a while since I played Hoard of Zenda, so I don't even remember. I don't quite recall what the super secret was. I may not have got it, which would not be surprising for me. All right, so next up we have Adenium Cruelty. The thing about this thing is it's a gigantic level, and there's quite a few enemies. Let's see, I believe on hard there's 204. One of the things about this is the architecture is so unique. Again, this level has a limited texture set, but what Vonder has done with the architecture and the shapes and curves and everything is really cool. And he kind of joked to me and on Discord that, these are simple shapes, no big deal. But, for someone like me, it's not that simple to make this kind of stuff, so kind of made me laugh. Something to note about Adenium Cruelty is that there's 2 versions of this. This original version is what we're looking at here, but there is a version in Arcane Dimensions. So this might, if you played Arcane Dimensions, this might look familiar to you. This came out, I believe, in version 1.7, and I've played both. And to be honest with you, I couldn't tell you what was different, but I did talk to Simon O'Callaghan, otherwise known as Sock, and he redid the map. I guess he had the source and he had Vonder's permission, and maybe Vonder helped him with it, I don't know. But Sock redid the map, and it's funny to note for mappers that, the original map was not on grid, and that Simon went ahead and put everything on grid, which is, it's nerdy mapper stuff, but it is kind of mind-blowing that he would redo the geometry to put it on grid. All right, time for probably the greatest title of any Quake map that I've ever played, Penile Devastation. Makes me wince every time I say it. So this is a runic map. It's quite old. Came out in 2001. It's by RPG. It has some really great gameplay, really great secrets. It's short but sweet. There's a lot of enemies. It has probably one of the most memorable endings of a map I've played in a very, very long time. The thing I loved about this map is it's very unassuming. You kind of start with this wind tunnel thing, and you kind of land and you shoot some things. Oh, what beautiful architecture. This is so cool. And And then you start to get ambushed left and right, and it just kind of goes to hell pretty quickly. And then there's a break in the action. So the nice thing about this map is the pacing is excellent, and once you get to the end, you're in for a surprise. It took me quite a few quick saves to get through this map. You have to play Penile Devastation just because of the name of the map alone. You owe it to the author RPG to give this one a shot. So last we have The Final Threat by Van. So if you read the README for this thing, it has a fun little story, and I won't get into it right now. This map is one of the coolest base maps you'll ever play. Again, with all these maps, it really puts you in a place. You believe you are there. It just has this wonderful interconnectedness. You'll be revisiting and seeing places from different vantage points. This map, it just feels like its own thing. It doesn't feel like a typical id base, and that's what I like about it. It's very unique. The other thing is about this map is it has the Mega Enforcer from Zerstor. He's in there. He's only in a few places, but he adds a little bit more than just dogs and grunts and enforcers. So, I mean, base maps are always kind of tricky to do because you want to try to stick to the base monsters, but ultimately you really can't. And so towards the end of this map, obviously you're going to see other, you're going to see Vors and Shambler and all that stuff. It's highly regarded. This is the oldest map of all these 5 that I've presented, and it's one of the kind of classic base maps for sure. So that's it, 5 must-play maps. We'll have a lot more in the future, and so if you want to get involved and you want to make suggestions, please go to the Quake Mapping Discord that is linked below the comments. It's not just about Quake mapping. We certainly talk about mapping quite a bit, but you are more than welcome as just a Quake player to come by, hang out, make your suggestions, talk about Quake. I'd be happy to have you there. That's it for this episode. Thanks for hanging in there. We'll see you in the next video.